You're listening to the Traffic and Conversion Show. I'm your host, Michelle Fernandez, and joining me today is Samantha Vlasceanu. Now, she is the TikTok coach on a mission to convince businesses and brands that TikTok is not just for our teenagers and no dancing is required. When COVID-19 hit, her other traveling business had to shut down and she had to pivot fast. That's when she realized that she'd been originally reaching her audience on TikTok all along and realized the power TikTok could have for businesses if they gave them a chance. Now, fast forward to today. Sam works with marketing agencies, coaches, lawyers, corporate brands, you name it. Sam ensures all her clients are using the app with intention as a sales funnel in finding their target audience and coaching the strategies of converting their followers into actual paying clients. Today is all about using TikTok for business, so stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back to the show. Joining me today is Samantha Vlasceanu. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Michelle.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm excited to dive in, but before we do, can you tell us a little bit about you, who you serve, a little bit about your journey and how you got here?
Yeah. Okay. So my journey as a TikTok coach actually was all by accident. I'm not gonna lie. Essentially I had a first business in 2019 in the travel industry, actually. And in 2020, COVID hit and that killed my whole business.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. So I did what everyone else would do and just went to distract myself during this terrible time in my life. And I discovered TikTok. I saw the opportunity of what TikTok had to offer, but realized there was a lot of teenagers on there at the time. But I'm like, okay, this is going to be much bigger than Instagram. So if I can figure out how this whole platform works and how a business like mine can really utilize this platform, it'd be a huge opportunity. So that's exactly what I did. I grew to over 100K in 3 months. And I was like, wow, this is a really powerful platform. And fast forward to 3 years later, a year later, I started a business as a TikTok coach. I made up a job to serve a lot of women entrepreneurs who are struggling with social media, with getting consistent leads. And I think that's where the sweet spot happened, where I'm like, I'm going to help every single woman entrepreneur who value being a thought leader learn how to master TikTok to convert their followers to clients. So
I love that. Oh my gosh. Isn't that what we're all trying to do? And you make it sound so simple. And I mean, we really got to dive into 100K in 3 months. And what business was that for?
It was for my personal account that I was like, you know what? Let's just do this from the business side now. And then I switched over to the business side. So now we're getting close to 140. But it's all strictly about business.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today is TikTok for business. So let's dive in. So let's just say, like for me, it's like I have a TikTok account because my daughter does TikTok and she's 20, she'll be 24 in April. And so she'll do something. And then I'm like, wow, those transitions, like she's killing it. And I can see where it's going. And she's actually, she works for a PR agency in Chicago for influencer in the influencer marketing department. So it's like, she really has the eye on this. And so if we're just starting out, where do we start, I guess?
Yeah. So I think your daughter's killing it because she's had a lot of practice though, right? Mm-hmm. So she's at a different stage than you can't compare yourself to people who've been on TikTok for a 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 6 months, etc. They've had a lot of practice. They got to understand the language. So what I want you to do instead is focus on what you can offer. And the best way to get started is just list down your top 10 FAQs that you get asked over and over again that positions you as a thought leader. And that will now become your first hook of the video.
Mm-hmm. Love this. Okay. So when we're talking about, I love that you said the top FAQs. So would you suggest that we just do kind of face to camera? Do we do trending audio? How do we decide where to start? Is it me that's frozen? Oh, did you hear what I said?
Oh, sorry. You froze.
I think the internet stopped. I was like, what? She's not answering.
Technical difficulties.
Let's take it from the top. Okay, so I love what I was saying was, I love that you said the top 10 FAQ, because a lot of us are like, where do we start? We're talking about our content and pillars and all this other kind of stuff. But I love that you're coming from this direction, because a lot of people don't. Okay.
Yeah.
So then how and what kind of format, if you will, are we doing this? I know you mentioned the hook, but then where do we go? Is it just we're talking? Is it trending audio? Like, what are we doing?
As a business on TikTok, you need to be talking. Like trending videos, doing funny skits, doing these funny sound bits and whatnot is not going to make you money. It's going to give you claps. It's like having a brick and mortar store and having people stand outside your store and just clapping for you. Great, but they're not buying from you, and claps is not going to make you money. And so when you're doing talking videos is where you're actually going to be converting your followers a lot more. Okay. And so with these top 10 FAQ styles, give me an example, Michelle. Give me an example of a question that you get asked all the time.
Okay, when it comes to ads, it's like, how do I know my ad is working? Or here's another one. Here's a good one. How do I know how much money I should be spending? What should my budget be?
Or your budget should be?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe here you might want to talk about like ad budgets, do's and don'ts, or the biggest myths when it comes to ad spend. And maybe you can even do it from a talking side, but because you're doing a lot of numbers, and if your audience is like me, where we have short attention span with numbers, like once you throw out 3 numbers, I'm lost. I'm like, whoa. So maybe you might want to use a green screen effect where you can give a visual behind you to showcase where's a good structure or threshold when it comes to budgeting, or what will happen if you exceed 10% more than your budget. What should you expect in terms of risk? So those are kind of things that you can also model through a visual side of your video as well.
I love that. Because every time I see that, I'm like, wait a minute, how are they doing that? Right. I'm sure there's a place that we can learn.
Exactly. And you're like, okay, how did she do that math? Is this wizard math? Like, and then you can see the step-by-step much
exactly.
easier.
And then it's like, I see people with the green screen and then they go down and then like, you can kind of see behind them. And I'm like, well, how are they doing that? Like, how are they putting that together? But anyway, okay. So we have the hook and I love this. So is this one of the things that you're talking about where I see a lot where it comes over, because I know that a lot of people use TikTok over there where it has like the word bubble with the question, but not like a question from
like
your stickers. Right. It's like a comment on the thing.
So the reason why they do that is because, well, that becomes the hook. You don't have to think of the hook. And it also kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You're essentially getting that one viewer to watch 2 videos, because everyone always has FOMO. They don't want to be missing out on something. So they're going to be like, ooh, where did this comment come from? Then they're going to go back to the original video because it's clickable. And now they watch 2 of your videos right off the bat. So you just sped up the whole like, know, and trust factor using those kind of features.
Oh, and see here, I thought that was something that they put on the video to explain it. So this is an actual comment from another video that you have. Exactly. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I need to get over there more. Okay. So then we have the hook. We're talking about the do's and don'ts. So are we doing a call to action like in a regular video to get people? What does that look like?
Yeah. So you might want to write this down, or the audience might want to write this down. Essentially, every format of every single video, no matter what style it has, is you have your hook, then you have the value, then you have your call to action. Your call to action does not necessarily mean, booking a call or buy my product right away. You want to move your audience up the engagement ladder. And so your first part of the ladder is cold audience. Those audience is not going to buy from you right off the bat. It takes someone about 7 to 15 times to see you to commit to anything. And so with your call to action for your cold audience, it would be things like, follow for more, like for part 2, share this with someone that needs to see this. What are your thoughts? And let me know about X, Y, and Z in the comments kind of thing. Or even DM us a code word. Like I sometimes even use DM us TikTok now to figure out your business strategy, et cetera, or grab your freebie, et cetera. So those are quick call to action that moves your prospect up their engagement ladder.
I love this. Okay. So we just follow the regular video things. It doesn't need to be scary, right? Because it's kind of like what we're doing before. It's just following the things. When it comes, do you have any tips on like the editing, or if we're just doing basically talking to camera, we don't necessarily need to do the transitions, or do you suggest like we move around and it's not just a talking head the whole time?
Honestly, video marketing is hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's your first video is gonna be cringy. You're gonna be like, oh God, I sound so boring. I'm so bad, blah, 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 blah. Focus on one thing to fix at a time. Okay. So what I mean by that is if you notice that you have bad lighting, if you notice you are rambling a lot, if you notice your hook is very boring in the beginning, well, let's fix one thing at a time so that you don't have to feel so overwhelmed with everything. To make it easier, especially for those who are starting video marketing, here's some quick tips that will make it a lot easier. One, record when no one else is home. The moment that you feel like you're being heard or your husband hears you or your kids can hear you, you're going to feel judged. And honestly, you're the only one that's judging yourself the hardest.
Yes.
Number two, wear comfortable clothes over pretty clothes. That way you're not feeling like you're sucking everything in, and it'll show on camera if you feel like you're sucking everything in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Number three, because you're getting new to video marketing, use the back side of your camera instead of the selfie camera. That way you're focused on what you're trying to say to your audience as opposed to focusing on yourself, on the image itself down below. Okay. Number four, record one line at a time. That's it. So if you know you have a script out and you want to say all these great things from a hook to the value to then call to action, but you can't memorize all of it, don't try. Just record one sentence at a time and make sure your copy matches your facial expression as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just piece those pieces together. It looks very natural on TikTok when it's these little jump cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, and number five is my last tip would be talk at a grade 5 reading level. Everyone wants to sound out really smart. Everyone wants to be super smart in the 30-second video, and they want to try and cram as much as they can in 30 seconds. Unfortunately, you're going to overwhelm your audience. So instead of trying to be super smart using all these great jargons, talk at a grade 5 reading level because the news cycle is at grade 5 reading level.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you for those tips. That was very helpful because we try to do, like, I'm always like, I'm going to be a one take. However, I do feel that, and do you agree? Like, sometimes what did you call them to the clips?
Jump cuts?
Jump cuts. The jump cuts kind of keep your attention. Do you agree?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Okay. And do you feel that, I mean, when we get to level 2, once we get comfortable and whatever, do you feel like maybe doing some like closer to the camera, some far, or different places in the house or wherever you're recording? What do you suggest?
More comfortable? For sure. As you're getting more comfortable, it does when you film in different scenes, like say you do one sentence at a time, you film one sentence at a time in a different room or a different background, it helps reset your audience's brain while they're watching, because as humans, we all have very short attention span, unfortunately. So it does help that way. But honestly, when it comes to not making your video feel boring or awkward, use your hands. Nobody ever just wants to watch you to talk. Like, I know you can't see me on Zoom. Nobody ever just wants to see a floating hand just like moving their mouth at you. It's not engaging. But the hands here can help tell stories, whether it's in the future, in the past, acting it out with like money currency, talking about your mind, pointing to the different parts of your head for your audience to be relatable back to. And that will make your video go from a 2 to a 6 automatically.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's really good. Okay. So when we're talking about the kinds of businesses, if we have a business that is, let's just say, like, I'm teaching people how to make the most out of your tax deductions, right? That's the kind of coach I am, where you're like, or like, well, to my point, like numbers, like if I start talking about numbers and analytics or, data you need to track, how do we make that a little bit more exciting?
Yeah. Michelle, don't worry. Your topics will never be the most boring. I've worked with tax auditors.
Oh gosh.
I've worked with mortgage brokers. I've even worked with a funeral home, which is like, oh my goodness, this is like not the most happiest topics.
Right.
And so the way you kind of want to bridge it out, or your topics itself, is focus on the pain points that your audience is having. Like, let's use like you as an example you mentioned, making the most of your tax deduction, correct? Right. So maybe your hook is something along the lines of, here's how you're actually losing $10,000 every single year. Ooh, you got my attention because I don't want to lose $10,000 every year.
Right.
And you can even show it in easy steps, or maybe even make it into a fun video where you're acting out all these quick things and having text to tell the story. So for example, throwing out those $10 receipts to restaurants every single day. And it's like, oh yeah, I do that. It's really relatable. It's back to me and my pain point. Or I don't know, you give me another suggestion. What's a way that we're losing out on this?
Let me think of another example, or let's just go back to Facebook ads because I know that more. Like a lot of people feel like, well, I'm gambling money, right, on ads, right? I don't know if I'm being profitable. Like, how do I know that?
Okay. So let's switch topics then on the Facebook ads. Like you feel like there's people that feel like they're gambling when it comes to Facebook ads.
Mhm.
Maybe you can tell this one in a story format way for your audience to fully understand. And maybe you can even use it from a personal experience
Mhm.
because storytelling helps your audience retain about 8 times more.
Mhm.
Or you can use an everyday example to showcase how it's really not like gambling.
Mm.
So maybe use like an everyday example, like the dating world, or the schoolyard, or the grocery store, or relationships, or parenting, because that's all those everyday examples that people can relate back to.
Mhm.
So if you want to give me the example, like, is Facebook ads, spending on ads, like gambling? Why or
Right.
why not?
Right, exactly. Okay, I love this. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So when we're doing all this and we're getting this down, when can we start seeing like the momentum, like as we're building momentum, when should we start anticipating like the sales to come in?
When can you anticipate sales to come in?
Like I know
Yeah.
you had 100K in 3 months. I don't know if we all should expect that or just be like, okay, well, at least if we have like some momentum or some building, I know for ads, like you're going to at least be like 3 months in to start really building that momentum to then like look to start scaling and moving up. I didn't know what you recommend that time frame to be or what we should expect.
Okay, you're not gonna like my answer. It really depends. Okay, because I know it sounds really wishy-washy or like fluffy and whatnot. Essentially, it depends on how often are you being consistent with that platform. So I've had clients that had less than 1,000 followers that closed a $10,000 contract. I've also had clients that had 2,000 followers that didn't get a client just yet, but they were also going a lot slower than my first client. So it depends. The answer depends on how consistent you're being on TikTok, because you need to build that know, like, and trust factor. And it takes someone at least 7 to 15 times to see you in order to buy or go to the next step or move up the engagement ladder. And so knowing this, if you're only posting once a week, that's like 15 weeks for them to even potentially see you for 15 times. Right? So, I guess my question is, I guess my answer for this is, you can start making money with even less than 1,000 followers on TikTok.
I love it. So when let's talk about consistency. So do you think one a day is good, or what is your recommendation?
Okay.
If we're like, I'm all in, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do, how many times should I post?
Yeah. You'll hear a lot of other social media managers or TikTok coaches saying you got to post 3 to 5 times a day. I'm like, that's not doable for a lot of entrepreneurs. Okay. They're talking to influencers. Like, influencers live on these apps that want to really grow and whatnot. So my thing is, that's not true. You have to just be consistent over frequent. And I'm going to say you got to be aiming for like 3 to 5 a week, just to get comfortable with video marketing and get better at video marketing. And the more practice you do, you'll get better. But TikTok's looking for quality over quantity now. So you can't just be posting about your coffee mugs nowadays.
Right.
So.
All right. When you had talked about like some had this many followers or like we're new, what are we doing to get more followers or to grow our followers?
So essentially, you want to be creating shareable content. That's what TikTok wants. That's the number one goal is, I want, like, TikTok, if TikTok could talk, he'd be like, I just want people to stay on this app for as long as possible. Now, creating content where people are just liking it It's just telling TikTok this was not engaging enough for this individual to spark a conversation or share this with their own network. And so what TikTok's looking for is shareable content. And the way you as a creator or as a business can create shareable content on TikTok is creating content with your hero in mind is one. And Michelle, who's the hero of your content?
It would be a course creator.
Right. It's your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So think about your audience and creating content where you're helping them figure out some things where it's helping their pain point, solving a solution for the pain point.
Mm-hmm.
And you focus your content with your audience in mind and not just you, because you're not an influencer and you just talking about your life and your dog is not really going to help you either.
Right.
The next thing is making sure it adds value. And there's 5 ways of adding value on TikTok. So educational is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
inspirational, timely news, and engagement posts. Those are all ways that you can add value onto TikTok.
I love it. Okay. I love this. And then let me just ask you, what do you think about using TikTok over on Instagram? Because a lot of people want to repurpose. Do you suggest that? Not? Like, what are your thoughts?
Spoiler alert, all your reels that you see are all from TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I was like, I think I've seen some have the logo, the TikTok logo, and it's like Avi. But I know there's ways that you can remove it and then post it on Instagram so they find it acceptable. You down with that or?
Yeah, so you always want to work smarter, not harder. You already spent the time making one content, might as well repurpose it onto Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, Pinterest, wherever else that you want to send it to. However, don't use the watermark. Platforms don't want other platforms' content on their platform because, well, then people know that it was originally from TikTok, and everyone already knows it. It's just like they just don't want it to be there on there. So the way I would suggest for you to remove it is you can screen record your video from TikTok if you filmed on TikTok. The best way is just to film it on your camera. Then you can repurpose it onto YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok, etc., without having any metadata in the actual video that shows any signs of TikTok was originally posted there.
So when you say that, I just have because I'm all about logistics that always comes to my mind. So when I go to edit the video, I'm editing it outside TikTok.
When you film it, it's on your camera for most of my content. But if you want to film it in TikTok, you can film it in TikTok. It's just that when you film it in TikTok, there's a lot of metadata in that video that will signify this was done in TikTok or whatnot. You can always edit in each of the platforms if you want, but just to make it easier, yes, you could just edit everything and film everything in TikTok.
Right. Well, and I know, can I film it on my phone, edit it in TikTok? It's still going to have that metadata from when I edit it in TikTok.
Yes. But then you can also film it on your phone, edit in Reels as well. So you can edit on different platforms. That way, the text is actually showing up in the video itself. Like the text you add in TikTok, repurposed onto Instagram Reels, is not getting picked up because it was not entered in Instagram. It's just part of the video.
Interesting. Okay. This was so informative. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with that would get us the most success?
I mean, I think in terms of tips,
whatever. You're like, don. Like, there's so much, Michelle.
Oh, there is so much. Honestly, when it comes to content, I hear a lot of people say, like, I don't have enough content. I don't know what to post. And my thing is, well, let's just take one idea and make it into 8 content right off the bat. And I can do a quick walkthrough on how you can do that. Michelle, you want to give me an example?
Oh gosh. Okay. Let me think of another example. Okay. So
I'm gonna feed you the hook and you fill in the blanks. Okay. So here are 3 mistakes your audience is making in X.
Let me think of how to word this.
Here are 3 mistakes course creators are making in
when they're looking at their sales conversions.
Okay. Here are 3 mistakes course creators are making when looking at sales conversions. Okay. So your first video will be a 1-minute video of this. And it'll explain each of the mistakes, those 3 mistakes, and the why on each of them. The second video will be a 30-second video of the 1-minute video, where you're just going to list here are 3 mistakes course creators are making when looking at sales conversion, 1, 2, and 3. Video number 2, 3, and 4 will be each of those individual mistakes and the why told in a more detailed format. Video number 6, 7, and 8 will be each of those mistakes told in a story format. So maybe it's through your own personal experience when you first started this business. Maybe it's through your client's experience when they before they started working with you. Maybe it's through one of those everyday examples I gave you before. And it can be telling each one and highlighting how it is an example of a mistake. So for example, give me a mistake what they do for the sales conversion.
For the sales conversion, they think it's the ads that are not making the sales.
But really it's
their funnels.
Got you. Okay. So that's like, and you can, for an everyday example for that illustration, you can go like, that's like saying you're not meeting the right guy on Tinder, but really Tinder has set you up with the wrong categories of men that you're interested in because you didn't fill out the right portfolios or whatnot.
Right.
And so you can give that kind of everyday example to tie it back in, like, oh, that makes sense. It's not your ads.
Right.
It's the back end.
Oh, I love that. So basically you're saying we get
8 content, 1 idea.
One. Yes. That's amazing. Amazing. Oh, I love that. That was really good to just leave us with. I want you to know. Okay. All right. So I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions. So just answer the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. Sure. I'm going to put a minute on my clock. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You're like too many.
Chips. I guess chips. Yeah. Salty food gets me all the time.
Would you rather team up with Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel?
Oh, Wonder Woman.
Are you, you're like, what? Not even a question. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night. No.
What is your favorite holiday tradition?
Oh, Halloween with the family. Make them all dressed up as family costumes.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Sneakers.
Your favorite house chore?
None. Yeah, my husband's gonna kill me. He does a lot of house chores.
That's fine. Your next travel destination?
We're probably gonna go Europe.
Oh, nice. Where?
Romania and Spain, probably.
Oh, I love that. Okay. And what tells you most about a person?
What tells you most about the person is how they treat other people. That's not how they treat other people that they don't think is on the same level as them.
Love it. That was so much fun. I appreciate you, Samantha, for coming on the show and being such a good sport. You didn't even make a face when I said, do you want to do the rapid fire questions? Usually people go into freak out mode.
Oh, really? I was expecting, honestly, I didn't expect personal questions. I was like, oh, maybe it's just like a bit more business tips. I'm like, yeah, no worries.
You're like, I'm ready. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the TikTok coach, Sam V, or I can give you guys a quick link to grab a free guide so that you guys get started off on the right foot on TikTok. Awesome.
All right. Well, there you have it. TikTok for business. Definitely go check out Samantha. I'll drop everything where you can find her in the show notes. Thank you so much, Samantha, for coming on the show today.
No, thanks for having me, Michelle. Bye, everyone.
Yay. All right. I hope you enjoyed the show. Until next time, let's grow your business together.